Welcome back to 150 bucks with me and Borba. Borba down there, but me and Borba went to a white church today. So today we was on the way home from the library. We had to walk home because the train wasn't working. So we was walking home and I was kind of in my mode where I was just deep in thought. And as I walked by Main Street in Tupper, there's a big brown giant church with doors open. And there was a man, an old man, and an elder lady holding up a golden cross staff with green get downs and little pastor things on their neck. I was this close to walking by it, but then I was on I'm on my God energy. I said, nah, we going in church. Had my glasses on, can't nobody really say too much to me. Go straight through the doors. Me and Borba, we go to church. As we get in this big white church, and yes, I'm saying white because this was white people's church. And I'm not a racist. I love white people, but these white people specifically, I'm going there. And as I go in, I do my observing. I'm looking around at such a big church. You walking down the altar, and as you walk down the altar, you see a staircase on top of, connected to the 6 pillars that held up the inside. There were 6 pillars. And then there was a podium that you walk around the staircase and walk up to the podium. And then there were 4 confession booths. 2 over there, 2 over there. Then they had the blue candles and the red candles. Anybody who know about blue and red and all the industries with the blue and the red, they understand how much symbology that is whenever something has something specifically blue and red. Think about, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, watch 90% of y'all so-called favorite rappers videos and see if they do any type of symbology where they have split red, split blue. If you want to know what that is, go deeper into it. As I walk straight up, I'm allowing God to lead me. Now, I believe my higher self. I believe that I'm led by something. So as I'm walking, I go straight past the part where everybody sit. It's empty. It's like they was doing a house viewing. Like somebody was about to rent out the place or something. We first walk in, there's people coming out, a couple people over there, a couple people over there, but generally it's mostly empty. I get to the podium, and as I'm looking through the rooms, you got a room over here and a room over here, and I'm guessing right behind all of the altars, the rooms go like this, and they might connect through the back. I'm not sure. I never went back there. And I go, and then there's this big white table with the Bible on it. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it had 4 seasons on it. And my first thought, I was listening to Higher Self. So this is what they use to preach to people. Open the book and see what they're reading. Now, my whole life, I've been alive for 19 years. I've never seen such a Bible. It's like they made a Bible perfect for brainwashing. Anybody who watched They Clone Tyrone, y'all know where I'm going. As I was reading it, they was giving options of which chants they want the whole church to say. They were giving different quotes. Now, the quotes weren't too different from the so-called Aboriginal Bibles, but they were completely rewritten by somebody who's probably a scholar or something. And I'm about probably 5-10 minutes into just sitting there and just staring into the book and reading the book when I feel a presence coming up the aisle. The man was so bothered by the presence of me and Borba. The man who was wearing the green wizard robe. He took it off and he addressed me as he was. He came in his button-up gray t-shirt with his black dress pants and his black dress shoes, and he walks up to me and he said, "Excuse me, sir. This is a very sacred book of the church." And then he goes up to the book and tries to grab it. And as he's like this on the book, I'm gripping the book. Because the book was laid out. The table's like this. The book was laid out this way to where I'm flipping open the book over the table. So he's grabbing the top of the book. And as he's just sitting, and I'm looking at him, I said, "Excuse me, sir." He said, "No, excuse me, may I help you?" I said, "No, no, thank you. I don't need any help." He said, "Well, this is a very sacred book of the church that has been in the church for a very long time." And I'm paraphrasing, of course. I'm not saying word for word. I didn't care too much to really remember. And I told him, I said, "Well," he asked me, "What was I doing here?" I looked at him and I looked at the book. I said, "I'm reading." He said, "Well, sir, I'm sorry that you can't be here. This is a very," he said the book was sacred and it's been through the church for very many years and that I can't be touching it. I said, "Well, it's a book meant for reading, for education, so I'm educating myself." He said, basically, he was trying to distract me from what I was sent there to do. I was sent there to simply read a book. But it's about to get crazy. It's going to be a plot twist. So as I get into it, and I'm trying to be what they call arrogant. I'm at least trying. Because I'm not an arrogant person. I'm not. Not by nature. So then I told him, I said, "Well, God, right now I'm reading and I'm learning." He looks at me with the white little smirk. He said, "Then what are you reading? Tell me what you're reading." I said, "I'm reading a Bible about the kingdom." He said, "What about it?" I looked at him because he was testing my knowledge to see what I really know, but not testing it in a friendly sense, in the sense that I'm a dumb monkey. That's how I took it. So I asked him, I said, "Have you ever read in the Bible about the wheat versus the weed?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, right now, I'm the wheat and you're the weed. And you're trying to interrupt what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to read. Ain't this an open church?" He said, "Yeah, it's open to everybody." You looking at me? He said, "Yeah, the church is open to everybody." I said, "So why can't I be here?" I said, "I'm just reading, just simply reading." He said, "Well, this is a very sacred book." I said, "Well, I understand that. Well, I'm reading your sacred book." So then he goes off. He goes into one of the rooms to the left, and he goes and make a phone call. I hear him on the phone calling the police, but so telling me this is nothing to be bothered by. I told him, I said, "I'm a man of God. I believe in God." He said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not very fond of church. I don't like churches because, personal reasons. But overall, I do honor churches enough that I grew up in the church." He said, "Well, so did I." I said, "Well, as a fellow God, we all gods. I'm here to hear knowledge." He said, "We're not gods." He got very serious. He said, "We're not gods." I said, "But we are though." "What do you mean we're not gods?" "I'm a God." He tried to interrupt me before someone else came, and he lost distraction looking at them. But I'm just still reading the book. And then he said, "Well, I'm gonna have to." He left and came back. He said, "Well, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave peacefully." No, but his voice though. "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave peacefully, or we're going to have to make you leave by force." I said, "Leave by force?" I said, "I thought this was an open church. Why must I leave by force?" Then he was like, "The church is open." I said, "So what's the problem?" And he got mad because, I'm interrupting him because he's basically. And then I go back to reading. Pissed him off. I went back to reading, and he lost. He just was so frustrated. He didn't know what to say. He looked down that board, but he was like, "What's your dog name?" That's what I did. I was reading. And then I had to inform him. I felt the sense to inform him, like, "Sir, I cannot talk and read at the same time. And currently, I'm trying to read." So then I went back to reading. And he went back. He tried to call them again and make it. See, this time when he went back, he called and he added lies. You know, I was calling him holy man and things and telling him, you know, if you're a holy man, then you have no problem with me walking in this church like anybody else. But, oh yeah, I forget this is a white church where black people aren't allowed. He said, where do you get your knowledge from? Something like that, paraphrasing again. I told him, well, from the Nation of Islam. He said, oh, of course. I caught that like water right in my hand and it went through like, oh no, he didn't. It wasn't the fact that I said the Nation of Islam. It was the fact that he automatically assumed when I first came in there I was Muslim. For those who know, I am in the process of attempting to convert, but I have not converted yet. I told him, I said, I'm not a religious man. I really don't care for religion. I'm just a man who believes in God. And I believe that I'm a God and we are all gods. And that's when he said we aren't gods. So he told me, he said, well, I called the police and you are trespassing. I said, sir, how am I trespassing if the church is open to everybody? What am I trespassing about? You just told me that the church was open. He said, well, it is, but you're not respecting. He said, you're not respecting our sacred book. And like on the inside, my inner child was dying laughing. On the outside, I'm keeping my composure. And he went back and he came back, and then exactly what he said to me, he was like, sir, well, I'm going to have to ask you again, are you going to leave or are we going to make this peace? He got angry, and then he went and made a third phone call because the first two phone calls weren't good enough for him. They weren't moving at his speed, you know, the police. Because God's on my side, tell him, you know, I said, you know, I'm a very holy man just like you are. He said, oh, no. He said, holy men don't act like this. I said, no, I'm WHOLY. I'm holy, you know, not the false facade of holy. And as I was in the middle of walking, he was like on his last nerve. So that's when he made that third phone call. And I said, well, Borb, come here, let's go. I wasn't done observing the church. I was studying the pictures, the lights, the different things, everything they were using, the candles, the booths. When I first went in there was people talking in the booth, all different type of things. I'm paying attention. What type of church is this? Because every time I walk by it, the doors are shut. So I have an opportunity to take advantage and to go in the church to explore myself. So I took it upon myself without the permission of anyone else, seeing that it's an open church for people to view. Because when I went in there, what were people doing? Viewing the church. That's what I was doing. I was there to view the church. As I go off, I go around, and then it's a side door to outside. And Borb was about ready to go, so she was ready to walk out the door. But I told her, no, come here. I wanted to read a book. They have a music song book. A music chant book. Let me put it that way. Because as I'm reading the lyrics, I'm like, bro, these chants. Of course, anybody who knows church, yeah, it's no surprise to that. It's zero surprise to the fact that these people try to have us chanting their music. It may not be a problem for everyone, but for those who awake know the power of sound waves and the manipulation through music that churches do and false pastors and preach. Well, let me tell y'all about this nice man. Police officer comes in. I see one lady coming up the aisle, the other brother, he just in the back just trying to look at the church I'm doing. So it was a brother that came in with the white lady. The white lady, she asked me, she said, excuse me, sir, may I help you? She said, no, is everything all right? I said, yes, everything's fine. I just came in here to read. And the man came up and he said, no, he came in here to read my sacred book. Oh, no, I do not want to leave this part out. He said, he looked at me because I went back to reading, and he studied me because he was trying to antagonize me, to frustrate me and get me angry. And he said, well, how would you feel? Well, mind y'all, I'm not a Muslim. Mind y'all, I'm not a Muslim. How would you feel if I walked in your sacred place and I just came in and I started touching your, and instantly interrupted him because I seen where he was going with it, the tit for tat. I said, well, I will let you come right in. Me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else there. Me personally, if you were a white man and you came in the mosque and you came in to learn knowledge and you came to open up the book, I will 100% allow you and leave you the fuck alone. But if you come in there causing things and starting a problem, they will beat the fuck out of you. I told him honestly, like what I'm taught. I'm taught if a white man come up in here acting crazy, asses is getting beat. Motherfucker might not leave alive. Especially if you come in and try to kill somebody, you just might not leave alive with your life. So when the police officers came in, remind y'all what I just said. We was speaking on what ifs. If he came in the mosque. I told him, but me personally, because I'm not a racist. That's exactly what I said to him. I said, because I'm not a racist. So I wouldn't have no problem with you coming in. But you, on the other hand, racist man, very holy man, you have a problem with me and your church. I'm pretty sure you don't tell your children stop touching the book. Pretty sure if a white man came up and was trying to look, you wouldn't tell him stop touching your sacred book, holy book. But then boom, she asked me, she was like, well, when she came around the corner, she said, well, do you have your dog with you? I said, yeah, I have my dog right here. She said, well, what type of dog is he? I said, well, she's a service dog, allowed to be any and everywhere. So she was like, what? She was asking me what type of service. I said, all services. She said, well, the brother asked me, the brother came around, he asked me a question about her. I said, well, I have the paper in my pocket if y'all really want to read it. That just to settle it all. Like, yeah, that'll settle it all. Like, bro was mad nonchalant about the situation. Reminded me of a brother I know named Leonard if he ever became a police officer. Reads the paper. He said, yeah, well, the dog is allowed, She was, and then here comes the pastor. Well, you're not allowed. His uncle, brother, cousin / lover, because they be all over the place with that. He was like, well, dogs aren't allowed in here. I said, well, she's allowed in here and everywhere. He said, well, you're not allowed in my church. The first thing came out of his mouth, because remind you, I'm paraphrasing. Everything is in a moment. A lot of you had to be there to see. First thing he says is, I tried to steal his sacred holy book, and I told him that I would beat the shit out of him. I said, whoa, holy man. I said, whoa, if you will lie to police officers like that, I wonder how you will lie to your people. That's what I told you. I told you I'm going to whoop your ass. I said, no, whoop, if you walk in the mosque, they will whoop your ass. That's exactly what I told you, And then he was like, well, we can't be here. I said, well, we were just leaving. I got to see everything I wanted to see. And I said, holy man, he got so frustrated because I'm like, this is what you would teach your boo. If you would lie about something so little and so simple, holy man, what else would you lie to your people about? How much more lies do you have in your tank for your people? He was just so frustrated. And the brother, he was like, well, you know how police officers is. They stay there until you leave the premises. So I said, well, come on, let's take a walk. And we walked outside. And I said, come on, I want to walk you to your car. Make sure he got to the car safe. And then he asked me, was Board trained? And I said, yeah, she's well trained enough. But she won't listen to my word if she see me in danger. At that point, anything I say really doesn't go for her. She's a very protective dog. But overall, yeah, she's still in training. Borba did an excellent job. Shout out to you, Borb. Borb did an excellent job, And this is not me being sarcastic. Borb was like beyond like calm, everything. Even when the dude tried to come up and they tried to surround me, and take the holy book from me. But then he seen I wasn't letting go, and then I'm pretty sure he put 1 and 2 together. If I get shit started in here, Borba gonna get shit started in here. So maybe your ass would have got kicked in that church. But this is the adventures of me and Borba. This is that lasted 19 minutes. I wonder how long it lasted in real life. Tell him I explaining. Only wise ones will understand what I'm saying, and to other those who are listening, it's just another story, of an ignorant black man walking in somewhere. But black people, you are not welcome to open white people churches, and do not go to their podium and open their holy sacred books that are made to control their people in lies. It's not even like because they preach to white people, so I mean, like, you lying to white people to program them to think a certain way. They all believe they're the Israelites and the Nazarites. To each his own. I told her we all gods, but he was so adamant. No, we're not gods. So, kind of reminded me of my cousin. But thank God for tuning in with me. I want y'all to just be real conscious of the times we living in. I'm probably one of the first black people to ever walk in here and be that realistic with them and tell them. I told them, I said, this my church. Y'all don't own shit. You said this your church, this your holy, well, it's my church. You said this your holy book, well, it's my holy book. And I'm going to read it. I said, God sent me here. I said, I am a God. He said, no, you're not. I said, well, God speaks through man to man. No, I said, God sent me here. He said, no, he didn't. I said, God speaks through man to man for man. So God speaks through me to me for me. And he sent me right here. And it was like really like just talking to a robot, like a computer person. It wasn't even like a real conversation. The whole time talking to him, it just was all program shit, stuck in his ways, no open-minded. And that's where I'm big on that. Be open-minded to every and anything and never closed-minded anywhere. He was a very closed-minded man. I'm pretty sure he got brainwashed himself his whole life because he told me he'd been in church as a kid and he looked like he never missed a day. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Crazy times we living in. And only me, I keep it $150, don't I? With the Ghostman. So I'm going to catch all y'all later. I don't care if you like, comment, subscribe. Just keep watching. Keep watching things for what they are and not what they ain't. I'll see y'all later on $150 with the domain.